All right, guys, what's up? Welcome to another walkthrough of TryHackMe. It seems like you guys have been enjoying this series so far, so we're going to continue on with it. We're tackling Steelmountain, one of the CTFs from TryHackMe. Now, I went ahead, did the heavy lifting, not so heavy lifting really, of running the Nmap scan. You know, it takes some time, so we just let that run here. And a couple notable things here, a few. I mean, there could be some kind of enumeration we could do on SMB, but we're going to tackle this, and this is how I would recommend you to tackle it, is the easiest things first, just so you can quickly knock them out of the way, right? We see port 80 running, web server, and most likely another web server, it looks like, running on port 8080. So checking out those things first is going to help. And another thing, you know, since this is a TryHackMe CTF, they kind of guide you along. So as you can see here, I already filled this in before. I've done this before. I'm just kind of stepping you guys through as a bit of a walkthrough here, right? They'll kind of guide you along here. So they say, who is the employee of the month? And what comes to mind, to me at least, when I see something like that is, okay, let me see. That might be information on one of the websites here. They got some web servers running. So first thing we're going to do is fire up a web browser. And we will pull that up here. And yeah, there you go. Right away we have this, though we don't know who that is. So let's inspect the page source. And we see it in the name of the image file. So it's Bill Harper. So that's when I plug that in there. And now this next section is all about getting the initial access. And so as we identified at the very beginning of this video, it seems that there's another web server running on port 8080. And let's just go ahead and take a look at that. Now, realistically, if I, say I was completely doing this for the first time and I wasn't sure how to really exploit this, I would probably, for good measure, start in the background running a GoBuster scan against this URL here on port 80, just to see if there's any lucrative information that we can further glean from this. But as this is kind of helping me along and it's pointing me in the direction of, hey, check out what's running on port 8080, we're just going to go ahead and do that. And we see here that this HFS thing here. And let's see, we might be able to get some information here. HTTP file server. Right? And if we go back to this sheet here, we have Rigetto HTTP file server. And the Rigetto part, I think you can get that information from doing a little bit of further recon. I think I might have been something that I either Googled or... yeah, so see here the link to Rigetto. But yeah, there should be something in the banner that gave me that exact name. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I tackled this one. But yeah, I think Rigetto might be the company that has this HFS thing. I'm not completely sure on that. I'm not too familiar with this service in particular, though I will say I have come across this during my time studying for the OSCP. One of the boxes that I did, I can't remember. And so I have exploited this service before. So as soon as I saw Rigetto HTTP file server, what came across in my mind is that, okay, there should be a way to exploit this to get your initial shell. And doing some searching for this is how I found this CVE, I do believe. We could probably find that in searchsploit. Let's just take a look here really quick. So for example, we do searchsploit for, we'll say, Rigetto. And yeah, we're running version 2.3. We can verify that by looking back here, right? 2.3. I don't know if you can see that. It's really small. There you go. Version 2.3. So basically going off of that, we can see that there's two options we have. One is just a text file. The other one is a Python script. So that will be the way to go. That'll be a lot easier to work with. So let's make a directory for our exploits. And we can go in there and we'll pull that down, that location. So this is the non-Metasploit way to do it. If I wanted to, I could run this and do all that. But in fact, what I'm going to do is actually do it the Metasploit way because it just makes things a little bit easier. But basically, if I wanted to run this the non-Metasploit way, I would just run this exploit. So let's just go ahead and fire up Metasploit with msf db run. So even though I wanted to do this in Metasploit way, I wanted to show you guys, because I know a lot of guys are like, they're really adamant about doing everything manual, which I think is a good thing. Do it both ways, right? Why not? But I'll just show you. So I wanted to kind of point that out there. And that would give you your initial shell. The reason that I want to do this the Metasploit way is it just makes the next step just ever so slightly easier. And, okay, so here I can just do a search for Rigetto. And I find this here, right? So I'll say use 0 to use this one here. And it is defaulting to interpreter. Okay, that's what we want. Let's take a look at what the options are here. And I never know what my IP address is because I'm bad about checking that beforehand. So let's go ahead and grab it. And we'll go ahead and set lhost as our IP. And okay, let's see, what else do we need here? I can use the default L port. I'm fine with that. But we're going to need to tell it our port. Instead of 80, it's actually 8080 in this case, right? So let's go ahead and set that properly. And you know what? It'd be easier if I close out of this. Then I don't have to keep scrolling up here. And let's see, anything else we might need? This does look good at this point. No SSL is needed here. Oh, of course, we need to set the R host, obviously. Let's see. Let's go back to here, and we can copy it from here. We do that. Everything seems to check out. Let's give it a try here. Exploit. And it's sending it, and it looks like it did open a session successfully. Let's see if it drops us into the interpreter shell. Yes, it does. You know, looks like it's trying to do a little bit something from there. Try to run a command. Okay. So we are the bill user on this box. So we are a user level account, but of course we want to get NT authority system, right? We want to get the full level of privilege, right? This is, as you see by all these EXEs and stuff, this and the services running here, this is a Windows box if you weren't 100% clear on that before. So from here, we're going to need to find a way to elevate our privileges. Now, we're going to run power up because that's what it, if you go here, that's what it wants you to do. Right at this point, I mean, yeah, I can also look up what the CVE is for that. If I did a basic search, for example, I'll just do it here, right? Rigetto HFS 2.3 exploit, right? Well, this is exploit DB, right? If I look at, say, maybe if I Google CVE instead, then that's how I could find the CVE, right? So that's how I would answer that question. And yeah, there you go on screen. If if you wanted it, there it is. Too late, I can't hide it from you now, unless I edit it out. But don't really care. This is for your own practice, right? So if all you're doing is copying down the keys, then you're not going to learn as much if you get your hands on the keyboard and actually step through it yourself, right? But yep, the way I would get that is just go into, I'm the bill account, right? And the bill user, so I just go into his desktop and print out the flag. But now for the privilege escalation, they're actually pretty detailed on what they want you to do here. So they really hold your hand on this. See, they want you to do it through Metasploit. That's why I'm doing it through Metasploit. But yeah, you just upload PowerUp. They want you to use PowerUp. And PowerUp is a pretty good tool to use for privilege escalation. Personally, I prefer WinPeas by Awesome Scripts. I really like that suite of tools when it comes to privilege escalation, both LinPeas and WinPeas. WinPeas if you're using Windows, of course. But yeah, PowerUp is a little bit older tool out there, tried and true. And so they use it in this example, so we'll use it as well. I believe I have that on my system already. Let me just double check that. If I look in opt, privesc, Windows, PowerUp.ps1, perfect. So let's see here. Go back. And so normally, yeah, you got to find a place to put this. Normally, Windows temp is world writable. So that's normally a good place to upload stuff. In the case of them, well, I think you can, yeah, you can do it from anywhere. It'll dump it there automatically, I want to say. Okay, it's actually dumping it into the desktop in this case. Obviously, we are the Bill user account, so we should have write access there, right? So let's give it a try. Opt, privesc, Windows, PowerUp.ps1. See where it put it. Actually put it in... okay, interesting enough. Yeah, okay. I didn't really check where I was, but yeah, I ended up dropping it in this location, but it looks like I have write access to it, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal, really. So we're going to need to use some PowerShell, I believe, to run this, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm trying to remember how to do that on. I think you got to load, oh yeah, you got to load PowerShell. When you're in the Meterpreter, you need to actually load the PowerShell extension first so that you're able to use PowerShell. And then, honestly, after you do that, you can simply run it with, let's see, dropping into, yeah, that's right. You got to drop into the PowerShell shell. You can use this command to do that. And from there, and I believe there's some other ways to do this as well without actually dropping into the PowerShell shell, I believe. Don't quote me on that 100%, but in this case, I'm going to do it that way. And so basically what I did here is I imported the PowerUp PowerShell script, and now I have access to all the functions that were in there. So if you're familiar with other programming languages, like say Python, right? This is basically like importing a module, if you will. Now I can access all the functionality from PowerUp.ps1. And one of those is something called invoke all checks. And basically it does what it says. It's going to run all of the checks for privilege escalation vulnerabilities. Okay. And what really jumps out, and yeah, we'll give this a second to complete first, is this right here. If you notice, this one, when it ran this check of modifiable services here, you have that it is actually writable. And we're actually able to take this one over, and we're able to restart it. That's the big thing too, right? Because here, like, this one's writable, right? This binary, but we can't restart it. It's pretty much true for all of these, right? And the reason this is important is this is a very common Windows privilege escalation vulnerability that you need to know for OSCP. For one thing, it's pretty important. You'll come across it a lot in CTFs when it comes to Windows, and that is the service path that you are able to overwrite and can restart. So what we can do is generate a payload to spawn a shell, right? And this service is ran by the system, right? Local system here. So it's going to be ran with elevated privileges. And so what we can do is have our exploit, right? Have our executable that spawns the shell. We can name it ASC service.exe and replace this file with our exploit of the same name so it thinks it's the same thing. But the only way, here's the sort of kicker, if you will, the only way we can do that is if after we replace this executable, this legitimate one, with our exploit, we have to be able to restart the service for that change to go into effect, okay? And that's why, like, all these writable ones, yeah, we could replace, like, iuservice.exe with our malicious exploit of the same name, but we won't be able to get it to go into effect. And, you know, maybe if you're playing the longer game, you do something like this, and then the system gets restarted by the administrators like a week later or something, and then you get a shell. Maybe if you're going like APT, threat actor style, maybe that's something worth it for you. But in this case, right, we want to be able to escalate our privileges and be able to restart the service to get the shell right away. So we're going to need it to be can restart set to true. So that's why we select this particular executable, if there's any question about that. So the way we're going to do this is we are going to go to MSF Venom. And one thing that we can look at, right? I mean, we got this here. There is a command in PowerShell you can run to determine, hey, am I dealing with a 32-bit system or a 64-bit system? And the way that we do that is we can actually, in PowerShell, we can type environment. And I'm referencing my notes for this because this is like one of those things that it's like, I don't run this enough to have memorized it yet. Is 64-bit operating system. Okay. And true. So yeah, we are running 64-bit. So when we generate our MSF Venom payload, we'll definitely keep that in mind. So let me also reference my cheat sheet to quickly get this payload set up properly here. All right, so payload we'll use is, let's see, in this case, yeah, why not? We'll generate we used interpreter before, might as well use it again. Even on the OSCP, right? If you use it once and you're on the same box, you can use it again, right? As long as you only use it in that one box, right? So we'll use it since we've already used, in the OSCP situation, we've already used our one interpreter, right? Our one Metasploit. So we do that, and let's see here. Set our L host, and reference this again. We'll copy paste this over. And for L port, we'll say 1337. Feeling a bit elite right now, why not? And then for the format, this is an exe file, of course. And then output name, this is pretty important here. We want to make sure that we choose that same name. So I'm just going to copy paste it, so there's no chance that I fat finger it or anything, right? And yeah, that should be good. We'll let that generate. And since we are in the interpreter shell, it'll be really easy to replace this. We don't need to use the PowerShell stuff for that. Though, if we weren't in a interpreter shell, we're doing this manually, then we can do all the same stuff through PowerShell. We would just have to host the file on our attacker machine using like a Python web server or something like that, right? But yep, you see we have that right there. And I have that in this directory. Let me go ahead and move this. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter where I put it, but yeah, let's just go ahead and move this to home, Kali, TryHackMe, Steelmountain, exploits. We'll put it there. So now that we have done that, we can exit out of this. I'm not exactly sure how to exit out. Maybe quit. I might have bricked it. I don't know what happened here. Okay, cool. Hopefully we're still in this session. I don't know if we are or not. We might have actually lost it. Let's see here. Sessions L should list my sessions, but looks like we have an issue right here. We exit out of this. Okay, no active sessions, so we'll just go ahead and run that again. Kind of something got messed up there. Hopefully we don't have to reset the box, but looks like we did get a session here. So that's the only thing about dropping into different shells and things like that. It can be a little bit tricky sometimes. But yeah, we're back here. Let's see where we're at right now. We're in that directory. And so what we can do from here is we can upload this file. But remember, where we're going to need to put it is we're going to need to place it in that particular location, right? So if we do home, Kali TryHackMe, Steelmountain exploit, and this is what we want to upload, right? But the important thing is we need to upload it to a specific location, right? We need to upload it right here. And there's a space here. Yeah, there's a space here, so we're going to need to also make sure that we quote this, right? So, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to upload this first, and then we're going to copy it over. We're probably going to, what we're going to need to do, actually, now that I think about it, we're going to need to delete the other one first, right? So if we change directories into here, actually probably what we want to do is we're going to drop into the shell first. We'll print the directory real quick to see exactly where we are. If we type shell, we can drop into a shell. Okay. Now we're going to change directories into here, where this is located. List the files here. There's actually quite a lot. But if we scroll up, we'll see right, where was it? This one. We want to delete this file, right? So we'll say, I forget what it is on Windows. I think it is straight up delete. Maybe it's Dell. Okay. So it's not allowing us to do that. Maybe we can move it. .back maybe. Okay, so it's denying us access to actually do anything like that. So the next thing is maybe, I think it might be because the service is running actually. So in Windows, the way you can stop services, you got to do SC and then stop and then the name of the service. This thing is called Advanced System. What was it? Let's look back up here. We'll just copy paste it. That'll be the easiest way. Yeah, this one here. Kind of a long name. So we want to stop this service first. Okay. The service is now stopped. Now let's see if we can move this. It's probably best practice to move it rather than delete it anyways, right? Okay. It won't let us do anything like deleting it or moving it, but maybe what we're able to do is we might be able to just overwrite it then. Let's give that one a try. And yeah, kind of like sometimes it's like you got to just play around with this stuff a little bit. Sometimes the way to go. So copy this and we'll change directories back there. And let's try copying this to, where was the other one? To this. Taking care, of course, to quote it again because of the space. Okay, yes. We can overwrite it. Okay, yeah, it was actually able to override it. It does appear. So we got to start our listener, though. That's pretty important. So we'll just fire up another MSF console here. And if you remember, when we generated the payload, we said to use port 1337. So we need to make sure that when we set up our multi-handler that we're listening on that port as well, of course. So use exploit multi-handler. And the only options we need to set are lhost and lport, right? So as always, we'll grab this here. And then we'll set the lport to 1337 and then run it. Right? And okay, yeah, we actually need to set our payload first. Fill to validate lhost, really. Oh, I didn't set lhost, I just typed lhost. But yeah, we also need to set our payload, actually. Let me just copy paste that over. This is the payload we'll use. We'll run this. And now we are listening. So now that we have that in place, we go back here. And we need to start this service, right? We stopped it earlier. So we could delete that. Well, this is not the right window here. Where were we? Okay, cool. All right, we can't up arrow here, unfortunately. But SC start, just as we did SC stop to stop the service, we'll do SC start to start it. And let's see. Once again, it will be preferable to simply copy paste this. So yeah, we'll do that. Oh, okay, it is hanging. That might be because it actually connected to our listener. I just thought of that. Yeah, it actually did. We get UID, and we are NT authority system. So from here, we can grab the other flag and do whatever it is we need to do. So yeah, hopefully this walkthrough was of help to you guys. And really briefly, if I were just to explain how, if you didn't want to touch Metasploit at all, right? The Rigetto exploit that we did to get the initial shell, you could do that with the exploit that we found on SearchSploit. And then instead of spawning a Meterpreter shell, you could get a Netcat shell, right? Just a basic reverse TCP shell. And then with that shell, you can use PowerShell, because PowerShell is on the box, to do any kind of file transfer you need to do, right? You would set up a Python web server to host the file and then just do a download file, systemnet web client download file to download stuff. And once you do that, you get power up on the box, run power up the same way, right? Via PowerShell. And then you could just use MSF Venom to generate this payload. And yeah, there you go. But instead of generating it as a Meterpreter payload, you would just generate it as a reverse TCP payload and use Netcat, right? Simple as that. So hopefully this video was of help to you guys. If it is, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the like button as well to help get that message out there. And lets me know as well that you guys are enjoying this content and you want to see more of it. As always, if you have any recommendations, content you wanted to see, let me know down in the comment section below. I've gotten some really good, some of my best video ideas have come from you guys. So yeah, be sure to do that as well. And, and just go ahead and check out the videos on screen if you're eager to learn more. And I will see you guys over there. Thanks for watching.